You may be in the midst of making a decision to pursue higher education, or you could be signed up for classes and are about to begin your college career. Or you might be in the middle of your college path. It is very likely you've faced barriers along your journey. We all do. In this video, you will hear about the challenges others have faced and how they have overcome those barriers. This is part 2 of 2 videos called Overcoming Barriers. In part 1, we heard about the challenges many students face in trying to afford higher education. We also heard how families can be a fundamental support for students, but can also create some barriers that make going to college or university more difficult. In this video, part 2, we will look at other difficulties students may face and hear how others have overcome these challenges and how, despite these difficulties, they are continuing with their education, working to improve their lives. Let's first take a look at some barriers all of us face from time to time. Time, balance of priorities, motivation, self-confidence, feeling alone, taking chances, and leaving the comfort zone.
I was working and I was going to school at the same time, but I had to make a decision to give up which one I wanted. There's a lot of mothers who were thinking, oh, I don't want to give up my work. I give up my work.
Well, we had to consider, personally, I had to consider the time, financial resources, and just getting back to the routine.
When I entered into the nursing program, my husband got the job, so I can reduce my work schedule and stay focused in the school.
I would have to say time management. It's such a fast-paced environment. You have to kind of manage your time more wisely. That's basically it.
2 years, 3 years, 4 years college, you think, let's see, if you think about 4 years from now, it's very, very long time. But you start taking class, you turn around, a quarter's gone.
Well, I had to think a lot about time and financial things because I have a son, so I wasn't exactly sure how that was going to work as far as spending time with my son, having time to work, and go to school and do my homework.
Time. Finding a balance between the commitments you have to your education, your family, and your work. This is a significant issue and a problem we all face. Finding a solution may be tricky. Without discovering a solution, we risk consequences that force an undesirable outcome.
So often when individuals are coming in to go to school or come back to school or reinvent themselves in some way, they often have the mentality of Wonder Woman or Superman, like a superhero. You know, they're coming in and they're thinking, I'm going to be able to take classes, be a parent, go to work, do all the things that I've always been able to do, and I'm going to do it with a smile on my face. And in fact, as we know, it doesn't always work out that way. Balance is so important because so often we end up taking, or students end up taking on so many different things. And one of the things that I try to do when I work with a student is to really talk about that and ask them, what are your priorities in your life and what would you be willing to delegate or say no to? And particularly, those are difficult questions because, as we know, culture and economics and family and expectations, all of these things come into play just around life balance. And so asking them to think more deeply about those bigger questions can help them maybe prevent a disaster down the line or prevent them from or not addressing balance might prevent them from not being successful with their goal or what they want to achieve.
When Janice Young began attending community college, she and her 2 sisters were already working at the family's restaurant. As the first in her family to attend college, she became a role model to her sisters, who soon followed.
We're really flexible with the schedule because, like, let's say if Janice couldn't work, then maybe I would take over or Angela would take over. So we're pretty flexible with each other's schedules. And, you know, we let each other know, okay, this day I can't work, or, you know, can you work for me? So I think communication is just the most important part about it, is because then, you know, we can all kind of work with each other, and it makes it easier on all of us, you know, especially my parents, because they always worry about, okay, who's going to work, you know?
There are resources for you at your school to help you look at decisions regarding priorities. But sometimes a solution is as simple as learning time management techniques.
Well, I started using the student handbook. I started organizing my day-to-day tasks, and that helped me out a tremendous amount. So that was basically it. I still fall off to the wayside, but then I go into my student handbook and I kind of try to remember certain things that I was supposed to do in a day, and that helps me out. So, but time management, that's my thing, because sometimes I got I'm like the poster child for procrastination. You know, I wait till the last minute. You know, so that's my thing.
We see so many students, I think we all do, at the beginning, or certainly once they start, having problems in managing their time, trying to do so many things well and not doing any because they're just stretched so thin, whether it's family or studies or work, and feeling really overwhelmed by that. And so meeting with them and trying to help them learn time management techniques, whether it's, you know, as something like using a planner, a calendar, writing down all that needs to be done and taking a look at how this is going to work or fit within a 24-hour day period. So oftentimes this is the first time this has been really looked at.
Some issues around time can be solved by knowing there are resources that provide you with more time.
For me, it's like I have to have a childcare because I have 4 kids, and I try to do it without the help of childcare. Me and my husband help each other switch shift, and it was really hard for me to finish.
For me, is going to school isn't the problem. It's staying in school is the issue. Because once you start and you have issue with childcare, being a mother, a wife, student, and working is tough. So in the beginning it might be okay, but then you're gonna have some ups and downs. It gets harder as you go, and you have kids who get sick, you can't miss your classes. It's sometimes you just wanna drop everything and be like, I'm done.
As Geni and Muslima discovered, many schools have the resources to help students with a wide variety of needs. These include offering on-campus childcare and even preschool in some cases. Other on-campus services include tutoring, computer access, work-study, cultural centers, women's resource centers, back-to-work resources, veteran support, special needs, and much more.
Well, I am physically challenged. I've got cerebral palsy. So because of that, I've always thought that I had to be educated to make something of myself in the world. So I don't even think it was really a question once I started school. So we just always assumed I was going to go to college.
Todd is a source of pride for his family.
Well, Todd is the first to graduate. Yes, yes, yeah. Yeah, so I'm very proud of him. And it was quite an accomplishment and a bumpy road sometimes, and many times.
Todd assembled a support team, a mix of family and college resources, and achieved success despite the challenges.
Actually, the biggest one was getting from class to class. Being a physically challenged person, I had to figure that out, and Roxanne Tillman, who works here, was working at the time with disabled students, and she got me a scooter to ride around campus from class to class, which actually did a very good job of getting me to where I needed to be on time. Otherwise, getting from one class to another, I couldn't have done that within 10 minutes or whatever the time frame is. So That was one big issue that I did have to accomplish here. My grandparents were there as well when when Mom had to work. They were kind of used as daycare, so when she had to go to work, I would transport it to their house, and they took over the responsibilities of transportation and whatnot when she was at work. So it was an entire family kind of affair.
Support is fundamental to success in school. You will find support in many forms on the college campus, even if you aren't getting support from the people you are close to.
And for me, because of the course I wanted to stay on and everything, I had to stop hanging around with a couple of friends, because if I kept following down the same path they were going, I wasn't going to get to where I am right now, which is in college, my second year, pretty much explaining everything what I want to, get my word out and everything.
That I think a lot of people experience is, just maybe having that support. Lack of support, I think, is key with returning to school because of the sacrifices. You need to have a few people around you that are supporting what you're trying to do. And I think it doesn't have to be, a village, but if you have like 2 or 3 people that are in your corner and supporting you while you're doing this, going through the process, I think it makes it, a lot better. So that would be an obstacle, having lack of support, I think. And then, again, for me, that was my personal barrier.
Personal barriers come in all shapes and sizes.
When I first came here, I used to have all the negative thoughts, like I'm useless, I'm nobody at all, I don't fit in anywhere, I cannot do anything, I cannot accomplish anything. All of those are bad thoughts. You have to, stop there. When you think about that, stop and say to yourself, okay, think of what you have done so far.
There's another big misconception is that people think that since they committed a crime or got in trouble in the past that they're not able to get financial aid or able to get any funding for school. It's not true. There's many opportunities to get it. It's just that they're discouraged by the people outside of the educational system.
On and on. At first, we were very afraid to talk to strangers, and and we hesitate to go somewhere alone. So we usually went there together. But after a few months, then we feel much more confident.
My experience probably was different from a lot of others. 17 different schools, like I said. My mom wasn't in the military. Was on drugs, moved around a lot. What I noticed about all the schools was the lack of patience from the teachers. They'd rather rush you through.
One of the biggest things for me was an obstacle as a returning student, because I think because you put yourself on the back burner, you forget what your strengths were, what you were good at, So it's in a process as you're coming back to school, you are learning, getting in touch with some of these things again.
I didn't do very good at high school. I used to, skip classes, do all that stuff, and I went to 4 or 5 different high schools by the time from junior year to senior year, and I didn't even end up finishing high school.
I've never had anyone tell me that I was a good writer. I'm 20 years old right now, and ever since elementary school, middle school, high school, no one's ever told me I was a good writer. And then I came here and I had Holly Gilman as a teacher, and she was like, so when you write your first book, my name better be in it. And I was like, okay.
Well, I grew up in Alaska and went straight to college after graduating from high school. I went to upstate New York, and it was a huge transition, a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. Different culture and really tough academically.
Attending college is a big change. As Sarah said, it is especially difficult when the change is more than just starting college classes. Imagine coming from another culture and speaking another language.
First quarter of my study is very difficult for me to learn English and learn all the parts of the airplane. I have to read and read and try to understand and look at the engine part that and the picture from the book and compare with the part of the engine.
For me, is I always wanted higher education at the back of my head, but where I came from, the Civil War happened, so I couldn't finish university. And I came here, but I couldn't come to school because I was refugee and I didn't have anybody to help me, and I didn't speak the language when I came here.
Yeah, I was like, man, if I had to talk with 10 Americans, I would talk with them. You throw me out there, speak English, I'll speak English to you. You know, it's a fun thing. I never thought that if learning new language would be this fun, especially just talking.
Jing had no idea community colleges existed when she arrived from Thailand, or that she would soon attend one. Now a nurse at a major Seattle Children's Medical Center, she makes sure her friends back home know.
When I'm come to USA, I have no idea. When I came here, I don't know anything about the community college. But when I explain to them that what kind of college that you can do in your life and upgrade your life, they're like, oh, this is great. This is like another opportunity to do great thing in the future. And I think that most students they know by now that okay, they have this kind of help for you to like access on, and it's very good resources.
For some who have arrived hoping for a better life that includes education, concerns back home may prevent them from considering or continuing college. Many of these students will never return to higher education.
I think for Samoan or any other Pacific Islanders, the importance of children is definitely, it could cause a barrier to higher education in terms of when your parents are here or when they're back home, they expect you to just work for them and work and earn the labor to support the family.
So it's easier for them just to come to the States just to find a job and not educate themselves more. They don't realize that if you come here, you can get like a minimum wage job, and they can send that money back. But they don't realize that they can get an education and get an even better job and like live well here and are able to like send money back as well.
That family in many cultures is so critical, so key. It's central, and you don't want to create any kind of barriers within your family. On the other hand, I really strongly feel that each person, if they want to be in school, even though their family doesn't support that or doesn't share that value, but if that individual values education and wants that for themselves, I will be very supportive of them. I will provide that support for them, and understanding, what that's going to mean in dealing with their family too.
There are many other difficulties that can compound the stresses a student can face. Stereotyping can play a significant role in creating hurdles that are difficult to see, but can have a major negative impact on students. Mark Mitsui, president of North Seattle Community College and an educator, explains.
There's no such thing as a positive stereotype, and I think that's an important element that we really need to let people know about.
A stereotyping comes in many forms.
Stereotypes in community college students, particularly Asian Pacific Islander students, that are important to be aware of, include the perpetual foreigner stereotype and how that can impact students, especially students that are non-native English speaking. So sometimes having an accent implies certain levels of knowledge or lack of knowledge. Another myth that is important to realize are some of the myths that impact the Pacific Islander population and some of the stereotypes. And we have heard some of our Samoan students, for example, say that as they were going through the K-12 system, the public school system, they would get messages from people in positions of authority that they needed to turn out for the football team, wrestle. That was because the impression was that was the only way that they were going to get to college.
Then there's the model minority myth.
So the model minority myth implies that Asian Pacific Islanders all excel at school, the families all value education, particularly higher education, understand higher education, are of a higher socioeconomic status, and don't struggle in the school system and don't encounter barriers. The research is beginning to show that, debunk the model minority myth. And we're beginning to see data that shows that the Asian Pacific Islander community is not monolithic, it's not uniform. We are not all high academically achieving, wealthy families and individuals. So, as an example, 40% of the students in higher education, Asian Pacific Islander students in higher education, are in the community and technical college system.
These stereotypes can have broad impacts, especially when they become part of a larger institution.
Stereotypes also impact service delivery and where resources for services go. If an institution believes that Asian Pacific Islander students don't have any problems, then you'll see fewer specialized outreach and support services made available to Asian Pacific Islander students. I worked very hard to break that stereotype. Throughout my academic career, I was quite successful. I think that it's something that impacts students in a negative way when the expectations are out there and they're external and they don't fit the individual.
I am an outreach and admissions counselor / Pacific Islander recruitment coordinator.
Meet Toka.
I was born in Viola Hospital, which is the only hospital on the main island of Tonga.
Toka and his mom came to the United States on visitors' visas. Their visas expired during the process of applying for citizenship.
So because my mom was single for for the first 14 years of my life, she has done a great deal of just being both mom and dad. And so in that case, she's done a lot of telling me what I need to be doing, what I need to be doing to get ready for college, and all of that, and including when we got here, she tried to explain to me that we are illegal residents, and that's the way she put it. We are illegal residents in this country. We can be sent home if we are caught. You got some Filipino designs in there.
Because of his status and the time it took for citizenship to be realized, Toka had to delay attending college for 2 years.
And I'm thinking, wow, if I had my paper up in school right now, this and that.
Toka is quick to say he should have taken more advantage of the resources available.
What I would have done differently, had it been today, is to find the resources out there. A lot of different community organizations have people who are connected to universities. The Ethnic Cultural Center has resources for that here at UW. So, and the thing is, we want them to get into school right away so that they're, filling their time with something constructive. At the same time, there's definitely resources out there.
Just knowing there are resources and to seek them out is the most important step to overcoming barriers. This is important for students who are the first generation in a family to attend higher education. They don't have parents or brothers and sisters to help guide them.
But when I come here, like all of us, we didn't know anything about the American college system, the culture. So I have to start everything at zero.
Sometimes it's difficult because if I don't know what to expect or I don't know how to where to go for help or something, then it's difficult just because they don't really know how to help me.
And the resources I had to find, and I started by getting my a scholarship through the SEA, Seattle Education Access, and they helped me out with doing my financial aid and things like that because I didn't have my family really to help me out with obtaining those things because I'm first generation.
For many first-generation students, particularly if you grew up in a multilingual household, if English is your second language and you indicate that on your application, we will usually require a proof of English proficiency, which can trip up some students. And that can usually be satisfied with the TOEFL or IELTS. If you went to high school here in the United States, that can usually satisfy it as well.
You'll find resources to help you with these barriers to education on a college campus. Many of these resources are people who understand, people who have overcome these difficulties themselves.
I was a first-generation college student, and I didn't have a lot of family that had the insider experience to be able to share with me about going to school. And so that was a big barrier because I didn't know the culture, I didn't know the rules, I didn't know what to expect or have anybody really to talk to me about that. So that was the first thing, being a first-generation college student.
Was a first-generation college student, and I attended my first year right out of high school to a large university that I was not prepared for.
They will support you and help you find solutions. They will point you in the direction of others who can help support you too, like mentors and support groups.
To me, mentorship is something that's really important. Being able to establish relationships with people who kind of know what you're going through or who have the experience that you might not have yourself.
And I also, like Stephen, found a mentor in one of my professors, and that really was a very big changing moment for me. I mean, I suddenly, someone took an interest in me. Somebody kind of showed they believed in what I was doing, and I started believing that myself, and it really provided me with a lot more focus.
But then my sophomore year, there was a police officer. He saw me get into trouble again as usual, and then he had me hang around with him every day. And then he told me to join this PA club, which is basically people who want to learn how to be police officer and whatnot. And once I started joining the club, I started to realize, I started getting a different view of why school is important.
I think one advice that I would want to give to people that I've used for myself is getting a support group. Finding people that, either it's in your community, in your workplace, at school, that can help you succeed. Because not a lot of us have that at home. And so to balance that out, I get my support from school. I get it from advisors. I get it from friends.
Make sure you have a mentor. Mentor is very important. I had it, because I had mine in high school. So I had a mentor throughout high school until college, and she pushes me. She does so much for me.
No one will tell you that overcoming the barriers that stand in the way of your education, in the way of your success, is easy. But almost anyone on a college campus will tell you that there are resources available to help. You just need to know they exist and to seek them out.
And then the big thing is success, right? Success looks so differently for different students. And so we get into this habit of comparing ourselves. Oh, it was so easy for so-and-so, or my best friend, or my brother, it was easy. Why isn't it as easy for me? And the thing that we have to hang on to is that success does look different. And we respond differently to different situations. And so what is easy for one person may not be so easy for another. And so tapping into those resources to help make it easier, I think is really, really essential.
Patience probably will help you in any case, I guess. I think if you have patience enough, you will find the answer for most of the obstacle. Pretty much everything, you gotta find resources, and based on that, you make decisions. And it's going back to patience. So you get patience, you will find the answer.
And it is worth taking the time to overcome these barriers.
I felt like if I was going to continue in school, like if I was going to continue with the higher education, that I, in a sense, needed to change my identity. as I came on to school and became more involved, I think I started talking to more people like myself. I started finding other people who I identified with. And I kind of broke that barrier for myself because I feel like instead of separating myself or separating my identity from my education, I found a way to incorporate it.
College changed me a lot. Like if you would have seen me when I first started college, you probably wouldn't even recognize me, you know, because I wasn't used to a life of school, you know. I was like, my life was a lot different. I'd say it changed me, you know, in the sense of making me more like grown.
I'm very happy. It was a long ride, and that ride's about to end, so I'm very happy.
And no regrets?
No regrets, no. It was hard, but it was worth it at the end.
My education really helped me to grow independently, become more mature.
It's not easy. It's very difficult, I'm not gonna lie. But in the end, it pays off. Like when I got my diploma, I was like happy.
So for me, the value that I taken from my career is that I can help all these students that are struggling now, not only with the subject of my expertise, but with the language. In all the programs that I was in, I was the only one Hispanic.
I think I'm just at a more better place where, hey, instead of looking at it as an obstacle, I'm going to look at it as, okay, it's an obstacle, okay, I'm looking for a solution now. A solution. I'm not concentrating on the obstacles like I did before because I see the opportunities that are ahead of me.
Well, one thing I have to say about change is you personally, you don't see it, the people around you see it. And I know I probably changed a whole lot, you know, but it's so much a part of me, it's so much embedded into my routine that I don't notice it, you know. This is just what I do.
Start here. Go anywhere.
Các bạn ơi, bắt đầu từ đây. Sau đó các bạn sẽ đi bất cứ nơi nào.
Start here, go anywhere.
Everybody, start here, go anywhere.